Blue Eye Samurai and Arcane are extremely dope when it comes to the animation, right? Like their animation is completely futuristic. It's different. It's nuts. It's weird how dope it is, which is really making me a little confused when I'm watching Dragon Ball Daima, and it looks like the same exact DBZ that we used to watch when we were like 18, 16, and it hasn't changed a bit. I don't understand. Is this all right? Now look, I don't know if y'all are watching it or not, but I literally, when I first started watching, I was like, okay, I get it. This is the same, spirit of animation that we used to watch these things in, but why? why have there been zero developments for Dragon Ball? Like, why are we training the folks at Funimation to be like, yeah, we don't have to upgrade our anime because you're gonna watch what we give you regardless? Because you love Goku, Gohan, Trunks, you love Bulma, you love Vegeta, you love Piccolo, you love everybody. Why should we change anything if what's broken, if what's not with what's working isn't broken? Nali?
I will say the animation looks different, and it's not giving anime, it's giving cartoon. And and people who don't watch anime will be like, what do you mean they're the same? They're not the same. They're different. There's a distinct difference. It's not giving anime, it's giving elevated Saturday morning cartoon, if that makes sense. Like they look more childish in feature than they would in the anime.
You're watching it, Anthony. What do you think about it?
I think the animation looked different to me. Like it, I think the way that Dragon Ball has evolved, it probably is. They're like subtle differences season to season, movie to movie, and like it's hard for us to point it out. But if you were to take this and compare it to like Dragon Ball from the '80s, night and day. Dragon Ball Z from when Vegeta first showed up, not even close.
Really?
Dragon Ball Super, you'll even see the differences, the way that they draw Goku and the way they draw him now. One of my favorite things is that they do use 3D animation now. It's in there, but it is so well blended into it. Like this scene right here, the background is all 3D. That's not hand drawing. But they make it blend in so well that they're really trying to stay faithful to Akira Toriyama's art style. Or Totoro. I think he's a new artist on the manga. So like it does keep the same spirit of the original anime without alienating its audience, but there's a lot of modern stuff going on there. There's a lot of cool modern stuff going on there. So I see the difference in the style for sure.
Yeah, the texture is definitely different.
Well, have you seen any of the episodes, Ty?
Yeah, I've seen them all.
You caught up? Even the fifth one, I think that just dropped.
No, it's only three.
The fourth one.
Three. It's only three.
I think the fourth one dropped yesterday. The fourth one dropped yesterday on Friday. So I haven't seen it either.
Oh, Friday, yeah, you're right. It did come out.
They dropped on Friday.
Okay. Maybe
so yeah, if you caught up. So real quick before we delve into our other stories, Penguin, from a real quick retoucher with regard to Dragon Ball. So for those who are possibly interested in watching Dragon Ball Daima, let me just give you a real quick overview as to what it is you should expect. So if you are like me and maybe you didn't get a chance to watch Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT, and all of that, but you did come up with Dragon Ball Z, meaning Dragon Ball Z was, it started with Piccolo, then Vegeta, then Cell, then Frieza, then Cell, then Majin Buu, and the different forms of Majin Buu. And I think after that is when they went to GT and started doing all the transformations, and everybody started, the Ginyu Force, and all this stuff. I was like, all right, I'll be back. But this, if I'm not mistaken, Anthony, starts right at the end of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And so those who watch Dragon Ball Z, don't feel, I haven't been watching Dragon Ball. If you're familiar with the basic stories of Dragon Ball Z, Frieza, Majin Buu, Cell, then I think you should be able to watch this, right, Anthony?
Yeah, like I'm a hardcore Dragon. I've seen every episode of Dragon Ball. I've not missed an episode, a movie, not a special. This is what got me into blogging on the internet, was Dragon Ball. Like I was one of those kids that used to get up, get on the train, go down to Chinatown, go to Canal Street, go down into the basement of the Elizabeth Center and buy my tapes where I would get 3 episodes for $10. And I would sit there and trade with friends, and we would it was you had to go hard in the 90s to watch Dragon Ball. You had to have a budget, you had to save up. Like this wasn't you couldn't stream it. Streaming wasn't a thing yet. So like I've seen everything with Dragon Ball. And I'm with you, like, yeah, this is for like I don't know, for whatever reason, every time they start to make a new series, they always pick up at the end of Dragon Ball Z. Like Dragon Ball Super started at the end of Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball GT started at the end of Dragon Ball Z. And now this one is another one where they're going to squeeze it in between Super and Dragon Ball Z. So like if you like Vince said, if you've seen Dragon Ball Z, you're not going to feel too left out. But it's going to pick up on that fascination that Akira Toriyama had with Goku as a child. Like he loves little kid Goku, right? That's his favorite interpretation or a vision of Goku and storytelling. That's why GT had him as a little kid. Super he did reluctantly because fans just love Goku and them going ham. And it feels like it's gonna be like a do-over of GT, like maybe a better version of GT. Now, for those who see GT was all about little kid Goku going on. He was turned into a kid as an adult again, and then went on adventures, and that's exactly what's happening here.
Yeah, Ty.
See, the only thing that I have an issue with at this point is the lack of consistency, because what Anthony says he's a huge fan, so he knows all of the movies, all of the fan made stuff, the stuff that was coming on YouTube when Dragon Ball wasn't posting anything, and then people start fan creations. So there was like, we went from Super, and then they went into the movie realm and started to make movies that were consistent with what happened in Super. So like now we're going from the last movie, which was I think the Broly movie. Well, no, it wasn't. That wasn't the last movie. There's the Piccolo John that dropped, and then there was another one that dropped that again stayed within the consistency of the story past Super. So once you got to Super, you got introductions to characters that fans love. Jiren is a fan favorite. Like right now, like there are like, and you see how you were like, who's that? Like only the people that actually continue to follow Dragon Ball and are huge fans of Dragon Ball know about where Dragon Ball was headed. Now we're starting over. It almost feels like every time they get to a point of super interest by the fans, they're like, okay, well, let's start this over. Let's start this project. And it starts to get annoying, because once you start developing these feelings for the Broly characters, the Jirens, the golden cells, like that, like we're not talking about just right. We're talking about Cell has reached his ultimate transformations, and we got Goku and Vegeta and Beerus and Wiz and all of these characters that, again, you have built a consistency with us getting to know these characters and kind of enjoying what we're seeing, to now we're going back to childlike Goku, and none of these characters are present. So because there is no yet. And you can't, like, this is my thing. If you went back to Daima, which is right after Dragon Ball, which is right after Dragon Ball Z, none of those characters I just mentioned are present.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Like you totally just nothing. You have nothing at this point. There's no Broly, there's no Wiz, there's no Jiren, there's no Beerus, there's no. All you're dealing with right now is the Sayamas of the Earth and the Demon Realm. Like you don't even have any other universe Sayamas yet. But that's what I'm saying. As a Dragon Ball fan, one who has been watching Dragon Ball consistently and sees where it could have gone, because there was a lot of talks with the before Toriyama died about Toriyama linking up with some of the fan creators and like putting together like some of these series, because there was such a big movement behind the fan creation, because they were so good. Like, if you ever get an opportunity, go on YouTube and type in Dragon Ball superheroes and go from the first episode, and you will see all of the fan created episodes of Dragon Ball, and they are spectacular. The fight scenes, the choreographed fight scenes, the animation, a lot of it is really, really good. But go ahead, Anthony.
I was just gonna say real quick, you 100% right. Like they just have this it's almost like a sacred timeline. You know how like Marvel got the sacred timeline, then they got the offshoots. They're saying like Dragon Ball GT is an offshoot. They're saying Dragon Ball Super takes further down the sacred timeline, and they just keep going back to this point. Where at the end of Dragon Ball Z, Goku, I don't know, they just have this fascination. Everybody thought that they were going to continue with Dragon Ball Super, mainly because Akira Toriyama did hire this dude called Totoro, who was a fan of the anime in Japan. And what he did was he worked with him to continue the story of Dragon Ball Super as a comic book, right? So they have their manga in Japan where they did continue the story, and they had this dude called I think his name was Moro. He looked like a goat.
Yeah,
like he was a problem. And they were thoughts that they were going to return to Dragon Ball Super in the future, but there's this weird divide and division between what the studio wants to do, what the original creator wants to do, and what the fans want to do. It's almost it's insane. Like Toriyama does not like to create all of those stories where it's just giant fights and power scaling and stuff like that. He loves adventure. He loves childlike wonder. He loves the exploration and his fascination with the Dragon Balls themselves. Like, so let's go find them. Let's go on an adventure. Let's make a wish. I'm going to get my cloud. I'm going to have my staff. We're going to meet funny, weird, pervert people as we go on this adventure. And that's his thing. So what they did was, like Ty was saying, they made the web series where it's like Dragon Ball Heroes, which is a spinoff of the video game, where they just give all the fans all the battles they always wanted to see, right? You wanted to see Cell fight Majin Buu? There it is. You wanted to see Super Saiyan 4, Goku and Vegeta fuse and fight Super Saiyan Vegito or some stuff, or any wish fight that you ever had, they do it. And it's made by the studio themselves to kind of like, one, promote their video games, but two, also appease fans who love those crazy, wondrous fights that make a lot of us come tune in.
So
and real quick, Anthony, like, because even with the movies, like, because it was like after we saw the web series on YouTube and everything like that, then they made the movies, and the movies were consistent. That's what I'm saying. The movies were consistent with what was going on in the web series. So you in specifically,
no, it was Dragon Ball Super with Dragon Ball Super. So like they had the Broly movie, and then they had a movie with Gohan, and those are a continuation of Dragon Ball Super. So right after Super, they made Broly canon because they had 13 movies that came out in Japan before this. Like when Dragon Ball Z was coming out, there were movies. It was like the Tree of Might. There was a one where you see this dude Tapion with the sword, and we see how Trunks got his sword. There was movies with Broly beforehand, like Broly turned into like a big giant oozing monster or some stuff. So they had all of those movies, but the thing was, again, they have this sacred timeline, and none of those movies were canon. Broly was never canon to the series until Dragon Ball Super made another movie with him. So you're right, all of those movies are consistent with it because they were like, look, we had all these movies that happened with Frieza's brother Cooler and all this stuff, but they never tied it into the main story. Like Cooler wasn't a canon character. Now they're trying to like bring all of those, bring some of those characters back and bring them into the Dragon Ball sacred timeline. So yeah, all of this is now getting tied in. All of this is being consistent with the storyline now, but it's a long road to get here.
So what does that mean exactly for the Dragon Ball franchise when you see Netflix pick up Dragon Ball Daima, which totally resets everything that that we've already seen from Dragon Ball Super. And
they're saying it's going to stay part of the they're saying it's going to be consistent with the timeline. This is just supposed to be like an adventure that happened in between Dragon Ball Z and before Dragon Ball Super. So we're probably not going to see like new forms, right? Like we're not going to see Super Saiyan 8 in Dragon Ball Daima. I think we're just more so going to have an adventure where they just explore the universe and build out as to what else was happening in the universe during Dragon Ball Z, because we know there are aliens out there. We know that there's there's planet Namek, there's all these other places that they just never explore space. They always they just stay home all the time. They don't go outside. Now they're gonna go outside.
Except in Super. Then Super they did explore space, which is why they kind of got to the forms, because like for the Dragon Ball fans, we know right now that Goku's ultimate form is called Ultra Instinct. And which at that point he basically has the power of a god. You know what I'm saying? Like he's moving and like it's different. So now you go back to Daima where they haven't even reached Super Saiyan 5. I mean they might not, there might not even be any like it's weird, man. But
Super Saiyan Blue. They're not gonna have the blue hair.
Nah, no blue hair, no, nothing. So,
well, real quick before, because this is only on episode 4, I believe. So, for those who are following along with what we're talking about but are not familiar with Daima, we say this is going to be an episodic release. So every week we should be able to discuss what happened in the most recent episodes, and just to kind of bring you up to speed. We're not going to spoil all of it right now, but to at least give you an overview of where we are. Dare I say, like I said, starting from Dragon Ball Z, just giving you episode 1, not all the episodes, okay? Just enough from episode 1. And I have a question for y'all, and then I like to move on to From, if it's okay, because we got a lot of questions about that shit. And I don't know if y'all seen this interview, but Anthony is a marvelous. This like I see him, like he's got the question script. Yeah, this dude is on his game, and I'm so mad that I'm just now like getting into him like this year, because he's been doing this for a while. But anyway, so with the first episode, what happens is the Dragon Ball Z gang, the Dragon Ball gang, Vegeta, Goku, Bulma, Chi-Chi, I think, Krillin, it's even everybody's around, and then this demon dude comes and decides, yo, I want to kick their ass. Or something like that. Or he needs something. And in order for him to get it, he's got to go through. He wants the Dragon Balls, but the Dragon Balls are a means to an end, right? Like he uses the Dragon Balls to basically he figures he can't beat like the Saiyans, our team, at their best, especially after they just came off beating Majin Buu. So they find a way to get the Dragon Balls, this villain, of who you'll learn when you start watching, and they wish for all the members of that team to be made into children. Like that's the brilliant idea that they come up with. Now, of course, if you've been watching DBZ, if you've been watching Dragon Ball since Dragon Ball, Goku had powers, and oh God, don't let him get his tail. Jesus, you know what I'm saying? That's not going to happen. But for now, they basically have minimized the bulk of everybody, and now they're trying to go to the demon world to figure out how to get back to normal. And that's where we are. That's just episode 1. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but it's been out for a few weeks. So catch on up. Now, my question is, has it always been the case? Did we just now learn that being a pointed ear dude makes you a demon? Is that a thing? Like, has that been like, are all these pointed ear dudes, are all Namek's demons? And are anybody with pointed ears? Vegeta, excuse me, not Vegeta, Piccolo, the other little Namek that was friends with Goku for a little while. Are Namek's demon, because they get some entry into the demon world.
This is new to me. Like they're just now establishing, like, look, if you got pointy ears, you from the demon world. Like we knew people who had pointy ears, and like they were the guides, they were the Namekians, and we knew that the Namekians could do more than most people. Like they made the Dragon Balls. But we never had that connection to tie them together with the gods. So now they're like, look, if the Namekians are actually nomads from the demon realm that came to this realm and just were like colonized planet Namek. So now they're adding some history to it, and they're adding some backstory as to where the Namekians come from. So I love that you paused right here on Piccolo, because Piccolo don't know shit about his history, right? He was one of the Namekians that were born here, so he doesn't know anything about the demon realm like that. And more so, this Piccolo is weird because this isn't the first Piccolo. He's like the son of the original Piccolo that used to fight, like, I don't know, his son or his clone is some weird offshoot of him. Right. He's like a so like he's learning all of this at the same time as all of us. So I love that they're giving us this backstory. They're doing Dragon Ball in a different way, right? Like, it's not just going to be about power scaling. It's not just going to be about fights. It's not going to be just WWE all the way. Now they're like, yo, we also have a story. We can do this too. Yeah. So I'm feeling this.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it like that. Yeah, because normally it is just basically fighting to get to the next power level. And now the whole demon realm thing kind of messed me up, man. So interesting tidbits are being dropped. I'm looking forward to see who else we meet and what Goku's going to be able to do at the end of this. I'm also wondering where the kid's at, but we'll leave that for another day. You know, was Gohan there? Was Trunks there? I didn't see them in the episode.
Yeah, no, they were small kids, and then they turned to babies. And so they basically found a sitter. They basically said that they found a babysitter to watch the kids. Even though they're kids as well, which is kind of crazy.
Okay, why has anybody? Mr. Popo is in this, and I keep wondering, how is he a character in real life? like how has nobody approached how was nobody spoken with the animators of Mr. Popo and said, you know, the whole minstrel show thing was a thing, and maybe we can not have a black character with glowing red lips who's a servant to a master at a place in the clouds. Maybe we can discuss the plot line and maybe move that forward a little bit. Anthony, you look stressed.
I like Mr. Popo at all, man. Like, this is just indicative of like the insensitivity of Japan, especially in the 80s. Like, they just, like, you'll notice, like, there's no black people in Dragon Ball, right? None of them are black. None. There's no superpower fighter whipping ass. The closest we had was in Dragon Ball GT, they turned Majin Buu into this character called Ubu, and he was dark skinned. So that's the closest we ever had. And he wasn't no
shit itself, Boo Boo
person. Ubu.
Oh, Ubu. Okay.
U-U-B-U-U. Some weird spelling like that.
It's still too close to Boo Boo for me.
He was the strongest person right after Goku. Like he was stronger than Vegeta. So like, I don't know. I don't like this character at all. But he's supposed to be super powerful as well. We've seen him. I think we've seen him fight once, and he was just like, yeah, if y'all really piss me off, I will fuck all of y'all up. Like, he's supposed to be Mr. Popo's supposed to be really, really powerful.
Well, I wish that they would let us see that, because every time I see Mr. Popo, I get sad. I start thinking about like tap dancing, and like it's a running thing that you would think that they would at least give us a reason to root for Mr. Popo if they're going to make him a subservient black man who is one of the only characters in the entire DB universe that gives black. One of the few. There was a couple androids that gave a little bit black, but this dude right here. It is what it is. That's fine.
And listen, Vince, this version of Mr. Popo that they have on Daima is like, they really scaled him back and made him like seem very weak when the demon king shows up and pulls up, and they basically take is that Dende that they took?
Was it Dende?
So when they took Dende, Mr. Popo was just on the ground, like, and that's all he did. He didn't fight. He didn't try to fight. He just was like scared, just like, yeah. So,
well, how did he sound? He said, right.
Else does his thing. So.
Well, yeah. Well, I recommend that y'all at least give it a watch. I mean, there's a lot of things we can critique and we can talk about, but at the end of the day, it is still Dragon Ball, and it's still got the classics. Still got your favorite characters, Goku, Vegeta, and them. So definitely pull up and talk to